So Andy, here we are in Envirotecture's new Sydney office, and you've given it a name. Can you tell us, what did you call it?
I've called it Not Nothing New.
Not Nothing New. What does that mean?
So when we first found the place and were about to move in and realised that we were going to need to do some work to make it kind of usable for us, I set ourselves this goal of not using anything new. And to be honest, I knew it was unrealistic in a practical sense, but it was an aspiration, and life is full of aspiration, or should be. And so it was trying not to use anything new. We have used new things. This is no huge surprise to me or to anyone else. But the idea was not to, and therefore the not nothing new in brackets is really around that sort of that dance between the aspiration and the reality, but also it's not nothing, because it was still really damn hard to do what we did do, but we didn't get to the full end point. But that's almost everything in life. And so we have used some new things, like, for example, the joinery product we used is a new product, but it's made from a bunch of post-consumer recycled plastic. And so is it new? It's a little hard to say, but it's,
It wasn't going to work to just bring in all second-hand furniture for some things like that, or joinery.
Lots of those things. We used screws. Pretty hard to find second-hand screws, especially when you need a particular length and type, etc., etc.
Yeah. So it's an existing building.
Yes.
A heritage building. So that comes with a bunch of challenges as well. So what have you built inside? Tell us a bit more about the building.
Okay. So the building itself is an old warehouse building that was originally part of Grace Brothers, or one of those department store kind of people. And there's a bunch of them around inner city Sydney. So we're in Ultimo, and we almost ended up in a place over in Redfern that had a remarkably similar history, funnily enough. A large brick building. Everything inside of these brick buildings is timber, so timber structure, timber floor, big timber columns that you can see kicking around. We ended up with a 71 square metre rectangle. It had a kitchen in it already that was perfectly functional, so we've left that alone. And then we've built this room that we're sitting in now as our main meeting room. And then we've built a little mini version of the meeting room, a Zoom room, so to speak. So we've got some separate spaces because people talk, we have meetings, you need a bit of privacy.
And what have you built the meeting rooms out of, Andy?
Indeed. So we've used hempcrete primarily. We've got a bunch of recycled timber framings. As you know, we are a bunch of builders. So I rang around and I was like, next time we're taking a house apart, I want all the timber. And so I ended up with a lot of timber in my backyard for a while. We built all the framing out of recycled timber. So it's driven about 4 kilometres to get here. Maybe not even that. The hempcrete, which is all off-form hempcrete done on site. As you can see, we've left it off form. There's no render going on anywhere. The curvy corners are both curved in plan and done with corrugated iron as the formwork. So we've never done that before. It's our place. We can do whatever we like.
Have some fun with it.
Yeah, there's a few challenges that come out of it. But, it's been fun. It's panned out really, really well. As with everything, you learn a few things and you do it a bit differently next time. But broadly speaking, it's gone real good.
Yeah, it's very nice. How might some of the learnings from what you've done here be relevant for a client who's building their house or potentially doing a similar office fit out? Is that different? Are there new lessons that you would take away?
Nothing that's sort of life-changingly different. Like, there's a few other details with the hemp that I would do differently again. Mostly around integrating the skirtings into the wall rather than putting them on at the end, partly because of the curves. So the curves were awesome, and we set up the curves using laser cut templates. But then due to the nature of the building process, which is much less perfect, when we went to fit the skirts to the things, a few bits had moved a little bit, and so those perfect templates were no longer perfect. Broadly speaking, we'd do all the same things again. Probably allow a little more time. Like, we went very fast, which was what you do when it's yours.
It's the scale of it though too, and being an office space needs to be a bit faster.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But just the sequencing and the time between things would have been. Yeah.
And I guess the challenges of working with a heritage building, there are some windows to the street and they are openable, but there's something else that you've done in here that not many office buildings do.
Oh, you mean provide outdoor air for your staff so that they can be healthy while they're at work? Yes.
Yes, not just about being more productive, as is sometimes said, but no, it's about keeping that health and motivation and concentration. And
look, dead people are not productive. This might get cut.
So plants are lovely, they help, but yes, real fresh air.
Yeah. So we've installed a mechanical ventilation system with heat recovery. So as we do in pretty much every one of our residential projects, different unit to all the ones we've used before. And that's partly because it's a slightly different usage in the sense that it's not a house, but mostly it's because it's a new unit that's relatively recently become available and it's got integrated dehumidification. And so our building, this unit's already got aircon in it. We inherited that. It functions, so we've got cooling. But half the time in Sydney, our issue isn't cooling, it's dehumidification. We're trialling the unit basically because if it goes wrong, it's my own fault. We're a few weeks in. We haven't had humidity issues yet, so we don't know. But I mean, it works, and we're bringing in fresh air from outside or outdoor air. It's filtered. Outdoor's not awesome. It's a bit loud, a bit inner city, quite a relatively busy street.
Yeah, and especially good for things like Zoom rooms, meeting rooms, all those sort of internal rooms, even when they've got windows and some natural light coming through, that often that's forgotten when it comes to office buildings.
Indeed. Ironically, started working on our first commercial interiors project about 2 weeks ago. It was just odd timing, but one of their main complaints is their meeting rooms are terrible because they are windowless boxes, which they're not worried about the windowlessness, but they're worried because the air quality is crap and people don't like being in there for more than 40 minutes.
The other thing about some of these materials, that really speaks to this idea of biophilic design. So, you talked about the mechanical ventilation and some of the building science that we put in for a lot of our passive house projects, but the biophilic design, did you want to speak to that too and why that was important?
I find it really hard to talk about because it is just a thing that you feel in places. And there is a zen and a calmness to sitting in this room that is ironically, like the acoustics are pretty good in some ways and yet not in others. So you'll have noticed that the walls don't go up to the roof and that's because of the fire rules, which are annoying, but they're for a reason. And yet you still feel calm and cocooned.
You do, yeah.
By these materials. I mean, on the other wall, we've got cork, which we'll eventually pin some stuff on when we get around to it. It's a little bit fresh at the moment. You're surrounded by these things that are all natural materials, and it just has a zen kind of quality to it that I struggle to put into words.
Yeah, I've heard of people describe being surrounded by natural materials like this, almost like the space hugs you. Yeah, often if you're stuck in a meeting room, as you said, you don't want to be there for long. Here, it is really lovely. It doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. So, yeah, it's beautiful. And when it comes to some of the acoustic insulation you have installed, can you tell me a little bit more about how biophilic design has been a part of the material choices here?
Sure. We've chosen to use as many natural materials as we possibly can, so pretty much at every turn it's natural materials. Obviously the hemp's a huge part of it, both from a volume point of view, but just what you see is a lot of stuff there of the hemp. You can see the exposed framing from the timber, from the recycled timbers, but also on the other wall behind us we've got cork, and so cork has I won't say dubious reputation, but it's certainly associated with the 70s, which has a whole bunch of other flow-ons. But it's an awesome material. It's from a sustainability point of view, it's pretty damn good. And acoustically, it's good. It's soft. It's one of those things you like to hug because we've done the hempcrete off form. Hugging it's not awesome in the long term because it's a bit delicate, and that's okay. That's also part of its story. It's going to age quite differently because of that. Whereas the cork, you can definitely go and give it a good hug in the morning.
But speaking of acoustic performance and things to hug, the insulation here is pretty nice that you've chosen. It's very different to what's often shoved in walls.
Indeed. So we always knew we were going to have to do something around the acoustics on the upper parts of these walls. There's like a 1.2 metre high gap across all of them, so that was always going to not work from acoustically. And so after much deliberation and a whole bunch of other sort of thought bubbles that ended up having enough problems to not pan out, we've ended up going with a recycled denim insulation. So it's an insulation bat that you'd put in the wall normally and normally cover it with gyprock or whatever. We've decided that partly because we're not allowed to cover it up, but also because it looks kind of nice. So far we've only just done the little Zoom room as a bit of a test. Is it perfect? No, it was never going to be perfect, but it's pretty darn good. We made all the windows the builder made all the windows. They're single glazed. And so the glass that we've used is actually the glass that was in the crappy aluminium framing that was in the building when we first got it.
You did recycle all of that.
So we did recycle all of that. And so we didn't have enough to double glaze them. And our alternate plan was we got a window guy who was going to give us all of his old IGUs. And so that was our original plan. But we didn't go there partly because this stuff was on site and we're like, it's better to recycle because that stuff would have gone in the bin. Absolutely. Like the aluminium got recycled because there's money in that. Pays for the builder's Christmas party, apparently. And so we got to reuse the glass. So we're pleased with that, but the acoustics are less good. But then the doors aren't awesome, like acoustically.
Secondhand, reclaimed.
Yeah, but also
not
perfectly sealed. Like this isn't, these are not passive house airtight doors with triple seals on them.
It didn't have to be that kind of a meeting room where it was that soundproof. It's a working office, but it's just having that bit of a barrier. I can see the rest of the team working out there on some beautiful desks. There's lovely green tops. There's some very special handles. There's a story to this as well.
There's a story about everything, it turns out. Our desks out there are the desks that we had in the old office for the best part of 18 years. But there was nothing wrong with them. They just were a bit tired. They just weren't really gelling with what we had. We repainted the edges, lined them all with liner. We've managed to tie everything together from an aesthetic perspective quite nicely. They feel really nice. You don't need a mass mat anymore, it turns out. And so all the shelves, which are still a work in progress, they all get the liner as well.
And the little handles? They're a nice touch.
Yeah. So the handles were a bit of a pet project and I really enjoyed it. We had all this recycled timber. We also happened to have invested in a laser cutter, integral to every architecture office, it turns out, mostly so you can make stuff for fun. We make the handover books that we give to clients at the end of projects and there have always been a laser cut timber thing. So everyone in the office got to choose their own thing. So we've got some cockatoos, geckos, kookaburras, some whales, gum leaves on the big doors of the joinery. One of our delightful people, knowing that he had 5 drawers in his set of drawers, did 5 birds in different states of the wings flapping.
It's nice on your own project that there's time to do something unique like that.
There's all the cloudy things that the plants are sitting on top of the windows up there.
Nothing's gone to waste.
There's a little table just around the corner that's off the form that did the outer part of the curves, but the inner parts of the curves were all formed in one thing 2.4 metres high. They now have shelves in them. All the work really was done by Red Cedar Constructions, who have built a bunch of projects for us over the years, and one of our partners in the Passive House Design and Constructor. They did basically all the things that I didn't do, apart from the hemp. Nick Soden, Soden Building Solutions, did the hemp. So Red Cedar got to come along and they did some of the work on the hemp. They did all the prep work for it. They got a bit of a learning experience out of it as well. It was just fun, really.
Is there anything you do differently?
I'd integrate the skirting boards into the hempcrete.
When this is no longer an office, can things be removed and dismantled and taken away for its next life?
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of everything is screwed together, not nailed and glued together. I mean, the hemp, you can, and you don't do this, but you could hit it with a hammer and destroy it and then throw it in the ground and let it, return to nature. A good chunk of it good. So we use bamboo flooring, which is kind of ironic because we used it in the last office. And that was a big deal back then. It's a floating floor. I mean, you literally could come in on the weekend and remove the damn thing and put it somewhere else. So the table's formwork, but that's old. We've had this table for yonks. But all the skirting boards are made from the offcuts from the formwork. They were cut up in a very particular way. All the power's in behind it. There's all the cleats, which are set up for hanging the art on. They're a French cleat thing, so they do the hook over thing, but that's all the offcuts from the formwork because you worked out what were 8 sheets or whatever it was we needed. What are you going to do with it at the end?
Really has been no waste.
You're still amazed at how much you make. We tried really hard and there was still this much. And then it makes you think, gee, if I didn't try, how much worse would this have been? And plastic waste was the biggest thing. So in terms of volume, like the plastic waste associated with just everything that gets wrapped in plastic, shout out to Woolworths, who are back recycling plastic again.
Our local council's trialling the plastic recycling at the moment. But it is interesting, the whole recycling plastic, because that's what the joinery was. A lot of the cupboards and the shelving were made out of, the denim insulation. Like there's an argument that there's too much plastic and there's too much clothing in the world that goes to waste, but we're trying to recycle it. It'd be nice if those products didn't exist because there wasn't the excess problem in the first place. One thing I should ask a bit more about before we go is with the hempcrete, like where does the hemp grown and sourced, and is this similar with some of your other projects? Why hemp?
Why hemp? So all of this hemp came through the Australian Hemp Masonry Company. We've had a relationship with Clara there for a very, very long time. Dick is still on the board of the company. The hemp came from somewhere not wildly far from Dungog. It comes from various places at various times because it's a fairly dispersed supply chain. And so it would appear at the moment that that's going to remain the case for a little while. That's not a bad thing. It's probably a logistical nightmare for people like Clara who are trying to make it look seamless and deliver a product, because obviously while it's sort of producty, it's also grown, and therefore, weather gets in the way. So it's her hemp with the binder that they make, so a lime-based binder with a few special secret ingredients, bit of local sand, bit of water, and that's about it. No colours. Went through the whole colour debate. Should we colour it? Shouldn't we colour it? And we went, you know what? There's enough going on. We'll be fine.
Yeah, there are some beautiful examples, and some of our projects have done all the swirls and the beautiful colours. But here, to have that simplicity of the raw natural fibre is beautiful.
The other side of this wall, which has got the exposed timber, so that's a product of our favourite engineer pointing out that we can't put that much load on this building. That whole thing just evolved on site because we realised, so we're going to have it exposed on the other side. Then we did those lovely little fillets around the edge. We're like, oh, we can do this. It took them a whole day to put the fillets in place. But it's
beautiful, though, to have it all framed out. It's a very different feel to here. And then the rippled curves, not just a curve, but the corrugations of that is a bit special too. And seeing the way the material moves and...
Yeah, because I had the idea for the corrugated curves, and I rang Nick and did the whole, hey, have you ever done this? He was like, no. It's like, that could be cool, eh? It's like, all right, let's give it a go.
Maybe, maybe not, but that's where you can have fun and experiment and know what works.
It's hemp. The great thing is, if it would have gone royally badly wrong, you just hit it with a hammer, do it again.
Don't recommend that as philosophy in life.
No.
For buildings generally.
No, but if you're going to hit anything with a hammer in a building, hemp's not a bad place to start.
So much thought has gone into it. All these little decisions, so...
I think that the things that really make it, and the things that I like, it's the little bits that I'm really kind of enjoying. I love the drawer handles. Like, I'm absolutely stoked with them. So the skirtings were the offcuts from the form ply, but the skirtings themselves had offcuts because they were all different, needed to be different layers. And so all the plant pots are sitting up on the offcuts from the skirting, because in the last office, it turns out when you set plant pots on the bamboo floor for 18 years, eventually some of the moisture gets in and it stuffs the floor. And so they're all slightly elevated.
There's a story to
it's
it all.
extreme.
Yeah. I love all the recycled timbers because the age and the patina and you can see, nail holes and other imperfections, and that's really lovely. That's part of the biophilic elements as well.
Yeah.
There's a history and a story to them. Like, there's a story to all of it, but most buildings there is. It's not always on show to quite the extent that here you see it.
Yeah, and you wouldn't. Very few people would do this in a home. Like, it's not really homey in that sense. There's bits of it you would, but a lot of it it's like, but it suits what we're doing. And this is, design is always about context and use and purpose and all those things. So I think it's mostly hit just the right balance.
Thank you, Andy, for sharing the story of our beautiful new Sydney office. It's been wonderful to learn more and share more about all the behind-the-scenes stuff that might not be evident.
Thank you very much indeed, Talina. It's nice that you've come up to see it. What no one probably realises from this conversation is that it's our new office, it's finished, and it's the first time you've seen it at all.
I know.
So thanks for the trust, because it could have gone bad.
No, well, it's been a collaborative effort, even though, yes, I'm based in Victoria. This is our Sydney team's office, so it's been great to see it all and be a part of that journey along the way as well.
It does. It's been really good fun, and I'm really pleased with where it's ended up.
That's beautiful.